Blade of the Blood Chief, very popular commander card for vampire players, is popping up in price right now thanks to Modern, where it combos off with Basking Broodscale. The deck has been doing pretty well. I called this card out as a card that was looking like it was going to spike a couple weeks ago, and I hope you bought it then because the price is outrageous now. And I think it's going to continue upwards just because Edgar Markov is getting a reprint. We're going to Innistrad Remastered. This is not a card from Innistrad, so it shouldn't get reprinted in that set. And a lot of more people are going to want this card to build with their Edgar decks. In this video, we'll talk about some other cards that are poised to jump up in price due to market movement. Cards that are draining out of the market at a rapid rate. We're going to start off with Naiath of the Dire Hunt. I mentioned this in the last video. It's a card from the original Jumpstart. Very cool commander, and it is really draining out of the market. Like, the continued movement is why I'm flagging it again this week. If it continues to move out of the market at this rate, there's nowhere the price can go outside of up. In a similar vein, you have Zask, another Jumpstart card that has been moving out of the market recently. There's no clear reasoning for either of these cards to be moving out of the market as far as I can tell. However, they are moving at a very rapid pace, and they're very cool, unique effects. The next card I want to mention is Hydroelectric Specimen. Going in that Modern Charbelcher deck seems pretty good. It's a great card. I mean, it's a MDFC land that can be untapped and a creature on the other side that's a potent creature. It can do things. So it's just a matter of time before this got picked up, and Charbelcher's a great reason to really push this thing forward. That Belcher deck has already caused a bunch of other cards to shoot up in price. Like I previously mentioned in past videos, Disrupting Shoal and Lotus Bloom. I can see more cards going up in price because of this deck. The deck is just performing very well, and there's a lot of niche cards that people really weren't needing much before, and now that there's demand for them, they're getting really pushed out of the market. Bureau Headmaster is a card from Assassin's Creed, so it's unlikely to get a reprint anytime soon, and it's a pretty small set, not a lot of people opened it, so inventory is not super heavy. But this card seems great with Captain America, and a lot of people are very hyped about Captain America as a commander, so this card is seeing movement. A lot of other cards have already seen movement thanks to Captain America, like Excalibur and Mjolnir, so it makes sense that other cards will also get bought up to try to build out that deck. Now we've got a few reserve list cards that have a lot of movement out of nowhere, and I really don't know what's causing these. Kind of odd, like it seems kind of like a buyout-y situation. Zerillion of the Claw saw a 37% decrease in listings. That's a lot of inventory just draining out of the market in the last like 5 days. Then we have Rashida Scalebane, which had a 25% decrease in listings, which again, decent sized number. But the biggest out of these was Hivis of the Scale with a 46% decrease in listings. No clue why. If you know, let me know. But this thing is just draining out of the market very rapidly. And the last reserve list card I wanted to mention is Griffin Canyon. So this is a weird one because like a month ago, maybe a month and a half ago, there were a couple of Griffin cards that out of nowhere saw a lot of movement. Not really sure why, and then that suddenly stopped. And now Griffin Canyon is picking up the pace again. So that could be some form of insider trading leaking out into my stats, where I'm seeing insider trading going on and maybe we have some Griffin stuff coming in the not too distant future. I did see people mention in the previous time I talked about these cards that Final Fantasy's got Griffins in it, so it's maybe people speculating on Griffins being a big theme inside that set. Who knows? But Griffin Canyon saw another 20% decrease in listings, and it's really draining hard from the market. Like, this used to be a very plentiful, very bulky card, and now it's kind of pricey. And now let's move on to Standard. Fairy Mastermind has been draining out of the market really hard over the last couple of weeks. Due to Standard, it was doing very well inside of the Standard worlds, and it has gone up in price a bit. Like, there is decent movement on its price already, but I think there's still room to grow because of the fact that it's still draining so hard from the market. I mean, in the last 5 days, we had a 42% decrease in listings for the regular one and over a 30% decrease in listings for the extended art. Those are some big movements while it's still going up in price. So I could see this topping like $20 being like a ledger shredder type of deal. Same thing with Jace the Perfected Mind. This card has been draining out of the market very rapidly. and going up in price, but it's still really continuing that trend, and I don't see a sign of it stopping anytime soon. It could end up getting to the point where there's just no listings and somebody lists it for 20 bucks and now it's a $20 card. Like, we're getting closer to that point, and I think the price is going to adjust further. So if you do need copies, I would be buying them now. I don't think it's going to get any cheaper anytime soon. The two cards that I've mentioned a couple of times as being Unstoppable Slasher tech, like stuff to use against the Unstoppable Slasher, Anoint with Affliction and Elspeth Smite. Mentioned these before, still draining out of the market, just good cards for standard. I don't know if these are actually going to get up there in price just because there's a lot of inventory, they're both uncommons, but there's just so much movement that I can't not talk about it. We have another one that's puzzling me. It popped up last time I did stats, and I kind of thought it was just a fluke because it didn't really make much sense. But the movement's continuing again this time around, so it's definitely worth mentioning. Soul of Emancipation Showcase. Lots and lots of movement on this card. Really interesting card. I liked it for Commander when it got first revealed, but I haven't really done anything with it because it's kind of mid. But boy, this thing is moving. Like, 31% decrease into a 16% decrease is a lot of copies just leaving the market. If you know what the cause is, please comment, but this is a weird one to me. It just kind of seems out of nowhere. We've got a very powerful Duskmourn card coming up next, being Screaming Nemesis. Good enough that it sees play in like Vintage Cube. Card's powerful, and it saw some massive movement over the last few days. The base version saw a 61% decrease in listings, while the borderless one was over 30%. Those are large numbers. Going from 214 listings down to 83 is a drastic difference. There's not much time left on this card if it continues to sell at this rate. So if you need copies, pick them up soon because I think this is gonna get very, very pricey quickly. I mentioned Tempt with Bunnies last video. I'm mentioning again here because continued movement, and the actual regular version only has 18 listings left, which is astronomically low for a pre-con card that just came out, but it's 2 sets old now, so now it's less likely that people are going to be cracking them to list since it's no longer the new hotness. So this may end up actually having a big price jump and it be very real. The regular version had a 58% decrease in listings, and the extended are also at a massive amount with a 30% decrease in listings. Like, large numbers again. Card is draining pretty hard from the market. It's a goofy card, pretty cool card, but I don't know why it's draining this hard. This thing is moving, and I think it's going to get pretty expensive pretty quick. We have another standard card that had back-to-back weeks of between like 25 and 30% decreases in listings, and that's Manifold Mouse. Both versions actually have been really draining pretty hard from the market. Card's good, it sees a lot of standard play, and I believe it's inside of that Leyline of Resonance deck, which is a house inside standard. Like, it was banned inside Best of 1 on Arena, but not Best of 3, so it's still very much legal in standard. And I mean, if it's that good that it gets banned in Best of 1, the deck's powerful. This is a good card inside of that deck. Brightcap Badger had a couple of strong weeks, like 18% and 24%. Card's fun. I threw it in my Atraxa Spore Counters Saprolings Matters deck, so I feel like other people are going to want this in their token decks, especially ones that care about Saprolings. Rootcast Apprenticeship had back-to-back weeks of over 20% decreases in listings. High utility card here, really cool commander card. I'm a fan of this one. Last week I mentioned Fountainport. Again, we have another 24% decrease in listings. Just a super high utility land. Having so much utility in your mana base is amazing, and this card's going to be a commander staple for a long time. Token decks will want this. Like, it's just a great mana sink inside late game if you're drawing a lot of lands or something. And the last card I want to mention that's moving out of the market is Wildseer. I mentioned this one previously as well, but the drain is continuing. Another 19% decrease in listings. Card's really cool, very unique effect. And because of how unique that effect is, I can see this card getting a little pricier. The first few cards I want to talk about that have been moving up in price are cards that I don't know why they're moving up in price. They really shouldn't be with Innistrad Remastered right around the corner, because these are high value reprints that are likely to be reprinted in Innistrad Remastered, like Craterhoof Behemoth. Why are people buying Craterhoof right now? It's probably going to get reprinted. There's not a lot of great green mythics from the Innistrad blocks that they could fit inside of this set, outside of like Craterhoof Behemoth and I guess Tree of Redemption. Same thing with Exquisite Blood. Exquisite Blood is another card that is going up in price, and this seems like an even easier card to reprint because it doesn't even take up a mythic slot, it takes up a rare slot. I think that part of the reason it's going up in price is because we just got Exquisite Blood on a creature, and so having both versions inside of your combo deck seems pretty good, but it's a card that I wouldn't be buying. I actually sold off a few copies when I was in Vegas because I didn't have much of a need for it, and I really do believe it's going to be reprinted. And lastly, Meathook Massacre. The extended art has been popping up in price, and they have to include cards from the more recent Innistrad sets inside of Innistrad Remastered. This is by far the best card from both Innistrad Crimson Vow and Midnight Hunt. And so this seems like a no-brainer to just toss in. Like, why? Why would you not? Plus, we just got Meathook Massacre 2, so it just got a relevant, like, oh, hey, Meathook Massacre reference, yay! I don't want this thing anywhere near my cart. No thank you. Greater Oromancy is starting to see an uptick in price. This card was recently reprinted in Wilds of Eldraine. It's great inside of that new Amanatu Precon as an upgrade card, and it seems like it's starting to pick back up in pace. Now I want to mention a couple of cards that are just kind of creeping up in price. Like it had like 3 or 4 weeks in a row of slight increases. And those include like Imperial Seal, which has started moving up in price, which good card. It's a few weeks ago was down at $75 and now we're up to like $86. So it is creeping up pretty quickly now. Along with Thassa's Oracle, it was under 20 bucks not too long ago for the extended art, and now we're up over 26. The Oil Slick Raised Foil Phyrexian Obliterator saw a jump up in price. It's a pretty cool card. And we also saw an increase in price on Nissa Ascendant Animist, specifically the Step Incomplete foil. Last thing I want to mention is the One Ring. I had mentioned this card previously as a card going down in price, and it's continuing to go down in price. I believe that we have an announcement for the Modern ban list coming in December. I'm not 100% sure on that, but I'm pretty sure that's what I've heard. And this is a card that a lot of people think is going to get banned out of Modern. And if it does, the only real place you're going to be playing it is in like Cube or in Commander. So the price is going to adjust pretty heavily if that is the case. And it looks like people are expecting it because the more regular versions are all decreasing in price. And that's everything I have for Spicy Specs. I hope you enjoyed this video, and I'll see you next time. Peace out, everybody.